Hi everybody, I am going to talk about the multiple disabilities. Children with severe and multiple disabilities pose unique challenges to educators. Such children need more individual support and care than a normal child. The services for such children are gaining focus and importance in the country with the recognition of this disability under the National Trust Act 1999. It is essential that service providers must have a good understanding of children with multiple disabilities when decisions are made about interventions and the strategic plans for their implementation. At the end of this talk, you will understand the concept of multiple disabilities, know the characteristics of children with multiple disabilities, learn the causes of multiple disabilities, and gain an insight into the modes of intervention for children with disabilities. Let me first introduce the concept of multiple disabilities. Multiple disabilities have been defined as a combination of more than one disability in a person. It includes children who have two or more of the conditions such as varying degrees of mental retardation, cerebral palsy, autism, blindness or low vision, deafness or hearing loss, physical disability as polio, paralysis, delayed motor development, neurological impairment, and communication disorder. The concept multiple disabilities refers to a combination of two or more disabling conditions that have a combined effect on the child's communication, mobility, and performance of day-to-day tasks. As every child is different, similarly, every child with multiple disabilities is different. The combination of disabilities may vary from child to child, and the degree of severity may also differ. However, there are some elements that these groups of children have in common. It affects the all-round development of the child. Communication with the world around is most severely affected. Opportunities to interact with the environment are very limited. The ability to move around in the environment is restricted. Need regular help in simple day-to-day activities such as wearing a shirt, opening a door, finding a chair to sit down, and so on, and a highly structured educational or rehabilitation program is helpful in the training of children with multiple disabilities. The age of the onset of the condition can be since birth till teen years. Children may be both with one disabling condition, but may also acquire the second or the third disabling condition the following years. Also, a combination of disabilities may interact over time and in turn lead to developmental arrest and secondary complication, which in turn may lead to physical or mental disorders such as deformities or contractures and psychiatric disorders. Let me outline some of the characteristics which children with multiple disabilities exhibit. Vision problems. As children grow, some of them appear to always squeeze their eyes together to look at something closely, or keep looking at their moving fingers or paper, bump into things while walking, complain of too much light all the time. Their eyes may also look different from normal eyes. Hearing problems. A child with a hearing problem may respond to only particular sounds. They may take a long time and repeated training to develop speech, and mostly they may only repeat what they hear. They may also learn to adapt to their routine environment by guessing the conversations going around, but may actually face a lot of difficulty in a new place with unknown people. Sometimes deaf children also show difficulty in balancing their body or walking in a straight line. Learning problems. Due to the combined loss of two or more disabilities, the rate and speed of learning of the children is very slow. Learning often becomes repetitive and meaningless unless special care is taken to make the child feel safe about exploring the world around him or her. Multi-handicapped children also have very limited ideas to play with the toys or things around them. Communication. Communication is probably the one area that is most significantly affected in children with multiple disabilities. The children are unable to see or hear or follow the different ways in which their brother and sister play with each other, elders are greeted, standing in a line to get a ticket, or passing a bottle of water around a dining table. Posture and mobility. Our sight, hearing, and body movements help us to move around without bumping into things, remember the way to reach places, or even to use our own hands to hold and look at things. Presence of cerebral palsy, locomotor disabilities, and balance difficulties make it hard for a child to manage his or her own body movements sometimes, and so it becomes very difficult to use his or her body to move from one place to another. Odd behaviors. Most children with multiple disabilities show strange behaviors that are called self-stimulating behaviors. Some of these are moving one's body repeatedly, shaking head side to side, moving fingers in front of the eyes, hitting or slapping the ears, swinging in one place, and so on. The children mostly do this due to lack of anything else to do. Sometimes it is important for them to continue doing it from time to time, as it helps them get some information about the world around them in their own special way. Sometimes these children also show disturbed sleep patterns. Medical conditions. Most multi-handicapped children also suffer from other medical conditions such as epilepsy, frequent eye and ear infections, respiratory disorders, muscular degeneration, frequent surgeries, and so on. Such medical conditions lead to frequent hospitalizations, and the child again misses out on a lot of exposure and learning from the environment. The percentage of children having severe multiple disabilities is very low. Approximately 0.1 to 1% of the general school-age population and approximately 2% of the total population of school-going children have severe and multiple disabilities. It is not likely that more than one student with severe multiple disabilities would be enrolled in a general classroom at any given time. Let me explain the causes and types of multiple disabilities. There are several factors that cause severe and multiple disabilities and can be classified as prenatal, perinatal, and postnatal causes. Prenatal causes include chromosomal abnormalities, viral infections, drug and alcohol use during pregnancy, mother's malnutrition, and physical trauma to the mother. Perinatal causes include lack of oxygen supply to the baby's brain, physical injury to the baby's brain at birth, and contracted infections during birth. Postnatal causes include childhood infections such as meningitis and encephalitis, traumatic brain injury from an accident or abuse, lead poisoning, reactions to medication, and exposure to toxins or other environmental conditions. As with other disabilities, the severity and complexity of the disability depends on the genetic abnormality, the amount of damage to the brain, and the environment in which the child is raised. Regarding the types of multiple disabilities, children with multiple disabilities will have a combination of various disabilities that may include speech, physical mobility, learning, mental retardation, visual, hearing, brain injury, and possibly others. Along with multiple disabilities, they can also exhibit sensory losses and behavioral and social problems. There are many educational implications for these children. Let me describe the main disabilities. 1. Cerebral palsy. Cerebral means brain. Palsy means a disorder of movement. Cerebral palsy refers to a group of non-progressive neuromuscular problems of varying severity. It is damage to the brain, primarily to the part of the brain that controls motor functions. However, other parts of the brain may also be affected. In such cases, the person affected has more than one disability. The extent of the damage varies from person to person. Mild disability might mean that fine motor skills such as using scissors or writing are difficult. Severe disability refers to the poor movement of all four limbs and the trunk and the neck. The child may even have difficulty in swallowing. The second one is autism. All children with autistic spectrum disorders demonstrate deficits in social interaction, verbal and non-verbal communication, and repetitive behaviors or interests. In addition, they will often have unusual responses to sensory experiences such as certain sounds or the way objects look. Each of these symptoms runs the gamut from mild to severe. They will present differently in each individual child. For instance, a child may have little trouble learning to read but exhibit extremely poor social interaction. Each child will display communication, social and behavioral patterns that are individual but fit into the overall assessment of autistic spectrum disorders. The third one is mental retardation. Intellectual disability is characterized both by a significantly below average score on a test of mental ability or intelligence and by limitations in the ability to function in areas of daily life such as communication, self-care, and getting along in social situations and school activities. Intellectual disability is sometimes referred to as a cognitive disability or mental retardation. Children with intellectual disability can and do learn new skills, but they develop more slowly than children with average intelligence and adaptive skills. There are different degrees of intellectual disability ranging from mild to profound. A person's level of intellectual disability can be defined by their intelligence quotient or by the types and amount of support they need. The fourth one is locomotor disability, which means the disability of the bones, joints, or muscles leading to substantial restriction of the movement of the limbs or any form of cerebral palsy. The fifth one is spinal cord injury. This is usually the result of a traumatic blow to the spine. Some spinal cord injuries can completely heal and some others may cause paralysis. The sixth one is polio, which is a highly contagious infectious disease caused by polio viruses. It is destructive to the nervous system and can cause paralysis. The seventh one is muscular dystrophy. It is an inherited group of diseases that affect the muscles, causing them to weaken and break down over time. The eighth one is contractures, which is permanent tightening of muscles and joints. The ninth one is clubfoot. There are three components of deformity, namely equinus, hindfoot varus, and forefoot adductus. Clubfoot is more common in boys. 10th, hearing impairment, which means loss of 60 decibels or more in the better ear in the conversational range of frequencies. The 11th one is deafness. It is a hearing loss greater than 90 decibels. Individuals who are deaf have vision as a primary input and cannot understand speech through the ear. Deafness means a hearing impairment so severe that the child is impaired in processing linguistic information through hearing, which adversely affects educational performance. Now let me explain about the types of hearing loss. Sensorineural hearing loss is the permanent hearing loss, which is a result of damage to the cochlear or auditory nerve. The treatment for sensorineural hearing loss is often the use of hearing aids or cochlear implants. Second, conductive hearing loss, which results from defects in the outer or middle ear. The sound is not conducted efficiently to the inner ear. All sounds heard thus become weak and are muffled. Usually, such individuals speak softly, irrespective of the surrounding environmental noise. It can generally be offset by amplification or medical intervention. Sometimes, surgery can restore hearing in a conductive hearing loss. Third is a mixed hearing loss. A hearing loss resulting from a combination of a conductive hearing loss and a sensorineural hearing loss. Fourth is a central auditory disorder. Central hearing loss is due to damage, malformation, or infection of the neural pathways and the hearing centers in the brain. The child may hear but has difficulty in understanding what he or she hears. Some of the children classified as learning disabled or slow learners may have this type of hearing loss. Let me now mention about the visual impairment. Blindness refers to a condition where a person suffers from total absence of sight or visual acuity. The field of vision and visual acuity are considered for deciding about blindness. A person with low vision means a person with impairment of visual functioning even after treatment or standard refractive correction, but who uses or is potentially capable of using vision for the planning or execution of a task with appropriate assistive device. The loss of vision caused by these conditions can range from a mild impairment to complete blindness. The children with visual impairment and brain damage may seem to use their vision differently at different times of the day. In addition, these children have trouble with perceptual responses such as perceiving depth, remembering visual information, searching for objects they see, and identifying important visual information. Let me talk about the mental illnesses. Some studies indicate that approximately 2% of children and adolescents receive intervention for mental illness, and psychosocial problems. The most common types of mental illness seen in children are anxiety disorders, disruptive behavior disorders, eating disorders, affective disorders, and pervasive developmental disorders or autistic spectrum disorders. Children with anxiety disorders respond to certain things or situations with fear as well as with the physical signs of anxiety or nervousness, such as a rapid heartbeat and sweating. Separation anxiety disorder, over-anxious disorder, and post-traumatic stress disorder are the common types of anxiety disorder observed in children. Children with disruptive behavior disorders tend to defy rules and often are disruptive in structured environments such as school. The common types seen in children are conduct disorder, oppositional defiant disorder, and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, that is shortly known as ADHD. Eating disorders involve intense emotions and attitudes as well as unusual behaviors associated with weight and food. Anorexia nervosa and bulimia nervosa are the two types of eating disorders which affect children. Affective disorders involve persistent feelings of sadness and rapidly changing moods. The most common type is major depressive disorder. The children with pervasive developmental disorders or autistic spectrum disorders have difficulties and abnormalities in their abilities to form reciprocal social interaction and to communicate verbally or non-verbally. Let me now explain the modes of intervention. Children with multiple disabilities often need intensive early intervention. Educators and parents can help such children develop communication methods, tactile skills, and the concepts that are the framework for further learning. Assistive devices are any devices that can help persons with disabilities in doing activities of daily living. They are items that can directly enable people with disabilities to participate in the activities of daily life. People may take help of assistive devices on their own or with the help of other people. The term orthotics includes the provision of splints and appliances that improve the function and appearance of a disabled person. An orthosis can be said to be an appliance that is added to the person to enable better use of the body part to which it is fitted. The main aim and function for which orthoses are prescribed are to prevent and correct any deformity arising out of the disability. It also provides relief from pain as it limits motion and weight bearing. It also leads to immobilization and protection of the weak, painful, or healing musculoskeletal segments. It also leads to improvement in the function of the specific limb. Prosthetics refers to any artificial substitute for the lost part of the body. They can be external or internal. External prosthesis is used for upper and lower limbs, can also be further classified into endoskeletal limbs or convention limbs to temporary pylon prosthesis. Rehabilitation by the use of prosthetics aims at achieving maximum function out of the remaining stump of the lost or missing limb. The point to keep in mind when choosing the appropriate prosthetic is to take care of the level of amputation, type of socket, material of socket, type of joint to be used such as hip, knee or elbow mechanism, ankle or foot or hand, and terminal appliances. Cosmetics is a preservation, restoring, or bestowing of bodily beauty. In terms of prosthetics, it implies the creation of the like limbs mimicking the real limb. Walking aids are used to increase the mobility of the person. This is done when some of the weight of the body can be supported by the upper limbs. Examples of walking aids include parallel bars, walking frames, crutches and sticks, and so on. Selection of the walking aid depends upon the stability of the person, the strength of the upper and the lower limbs, and the degree of coordination of movement of the upper and lower limbs, and the degree of relief from weight-bearing equipment that is required. Types of walking aids include crutches, frames, sticks, and parallel bars. Rehabilitation using walking aids requires time. The person needs to regain strength after a prolonged illness. This can be gained by taking adequate diet and well-planned progressive course of exercises. The person also needs to become free from the fear of falling. Let me sum up. Children with severe and multiple disabilities pose unique challenges to educators. Such children need more individual support and care than a normal child. The services for such children are gaining focus and importance in the country with the recognition of the disability under the National Trust Act 1999. It is essential that service providers must have a good understanding of children with multiple disabilities when decisions are made about interventions and the strategic plans for their implementation. Multiple disabilities have been defined as a combination of more than one disability in a person. The combination of disabilities may vary from child to child, and the degree of severity may also differ. There are several factors that cause severe and multiple disabilities and can be classified as prenatal, perinatal, and postnatal causes. The main disabilities are cerebral palsy, autism, mental retardation, locomotor disability, spinal cord injury, polio, muscular dystrophy, contractures, clubfoot, hearing impairments, and deafness. The most common types of mental illness observed among the children with disabilities are anxiety disorders, disruptive behavior disorders, eating disorders, affective disorders, and pervasive developmental disorders or autistic spectrum disorders. Children with multiple disabilities often need intensive early intervention. Educators and parents can help such children develop communication methods, tactile skills, and the concepts that become the framework for further learning. Let me sign off now and hope to see you in another session. Thank you.